live.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think so. Sometimes Instagram lags. So hopefully we're live on all the channels. So I just wanted to welcome you today. We are going to be discussing leadership. And if you're new to a leadership role and you're feeling a little thrown into the deep end, let's talk. Today's mini discussion is for you. I have with me one of the executive coaches on our team of leadership and executive coaches, Jill Aronoff. Jill, I would love to hear, what are you seeing show up in leadership?
It's a great question. And it's so interesting, the things that are showing up. And this is for new leaders and people that have been leading for a while, that have been put into management roles. They've been promoted. They've worked so hard to get to where they are now by doing. And now all of a sudden they're expected to lead and they're not getting any training and they feel lost. And so they're really looking at, how can I be a better leader? How can I be a coach-like leader? And it's just so prevalent right now across the board with all of my clients in different avenues.
Yeah, and you were one of those leaders.
I absolutely was one of those leaders, and I worked so hard to get where I was, and I did so many self-help and seminars and little mini trainings. I've got this addiction to learning. So I always thought I was ahead of the game, but I really didn't have a clue because I hadn't done the work myself. And once you start doing the work yourself, you start understanding and you start developing some EQ skills and some empathy. It's funny, I always felt like I wasn't an empathetic person because I'm so direct. And I've learned through coaching and coaching your coaching program that you can develop empathy skills and understanding exactly what that is.
Yeah, and that is so key. Especially, I'm thinking of some of the research. I love quoting these because they're so profound. For the first one that comes to mind is Forbes put out an article January 23 on some of the research, and the finding was that for almost 70% of people, their manager had more impact on their mental health than their therapist or their doctor, and equal to their partner. And I had the opportunity to go live with one of my favorite leadership coaches and consultants the other day, Love, and she said, that's also goes towards the positive. And I was like, that is so true, right? So do we want to have 70% positive impact or not so positive?
Right. That is so true. And I can say from my personal experience as a leader, like I didn't have a leader that was necessarily was high in EQ skills. He wasn't he wasn't emotionally attached to understanding himself and how to be a good leader. And as a result, I felt like I had to be pigeonholed into this. But I think back to my past, and I had a leader that was amazing because she really cared about me and what I was going to learn and who she was as a leader, and she had done the work. And I learned so much more from her about how to be a good leader and how to be a team player, and even personally how to be an amazing person. So I really appreciate her. And it's 100% true that if you can have the positive influence, it's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love what you brought up about being a coach-like leader, because, it's one thing to manage. I think of management and I think of work. When I think of leadership and transformational leadership, not transactional leadership, I think of inspiring work, inspiring the team. Like, it's a completely different feel. The culture's different. And then just to geek out on another statistic I wanted to bring forward based on, again, what you just shared about the emotional intelligence piece. So Emotional Intelligence 2.0, Bradbury and Greaves, they found that EQ is so critical to success that it accounts for 58% of performance in all job types.
Wow. That's
And
a
it was 90% of high performers were also high in EQ. And EQ is a developed skill set, right? We're not just born with E. I mean, some people might be. I don't know that I've met anybody that's just naturally super high in EQ. Yeah, the training can definitely elevate that.
It's very true. And, I read that book years ago and I tried to put it in practice, but I didn't really resonate and it didn't click until I went through the coach training program.
Mm,
And only then, when I applied it to myself and was able to think differently and shift my lens, could I really put those EQ skills in place.
yeah. I had the exact same experience. It like the coach training brought the skills to life at a whole different level, especially as a leader, wanting to inspire action and not just have a top-down approach.
Mhm. The other amazing part of coach training is working with a coach. And so, as part of the full program, we have our 6 hours with a supervisory coach, and you can really explore, okay, this is what I'm learning, and I'm not sure how this works. And having that answer deep within me, but not being stuck and not knowing how it comes out, and
Mhm.
working with a coach to help me understand, oh yeah, this is what makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember we were talking about how you were you were sharing with me like, gosh, my leadership could have been so different had I had the coaching and had I had the coach training up front. Can you share a little bit more about what was behind that for you?
Yeah, 100%. It really going through the coach training program, in a way, it kind of humbles you and it helps you retrain how you think.
Mhm.
So I was a good leader before, and I wasn't really hearing what my team was saying, even though I was bringing the skills out there. I was being in what I thought was a coach like atmosphere. I was still missing some of those things because I didn't have that full training. And
Mhm.
I think this is happening so much to leaders that they just feel lost. They're being put in this situation and they're just completely lost.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to hear their team.
Mhm.
And not that they don't want to, they just don't know how to.
Mhm.
And I think I was in that same situation. And then learning how to be a coach like leader, I could apply everything that I knew and that I learned in a new light. And so I was able to really just let go of my ego
Mhm.
and be able to listen to other people. And that had I had this information back then, I would have been an amazing leader and who knows what I could have done.
Right, that transformational leader where the people who work with you, their lives are positively impacted.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
you do work so much and so closely with your team that those stats don't surprise me at all, even though
Mhm.
it's startling to hear, but you spend more time with these people than anybody else.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's so true. So, if you're joining us and you are that leader that is new to the role and you are feeling a little bit thrown into the deep end, in case you haven't picked up right now, we've got two options that you can really consider to get you leveraged quickly. It's like a fast track to getting you not even just on your toes, but from to shift that mindset from I'm managing people to I'm leading. And I'm leading as a transformational leader. So, Jill, would you like to share a little bit more about these options?
Absolutely. And in my not so far past, I worked with a coach who was not an ICF accredited coach. She was great and I learned from her. But being able to work with an ICF coach really gives you that opportunity to understand yourself and explore. Couple that with coach training, the two of those put together, you can really accelerate who you are, as a leader. I have a friend that said, usually you can get to your goals on your own, but when you work with a coach, you get there faster.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's more powerful too. You learn more. And with the coach training, you have that training that you're missing everywhere else. And so you're in a situation where you can train and learn, and you can learn from other people and explore. And then in coaching, you can practice and understand yourself better, which would just make you a better leader.
Yes, very well put. And the other, I have to drop another statistic. The Human Capital, because I guess I'm a coach geek like that. Human Capital Institute found that 51% of companies with a strong coaching culture, so think coach like leader, reported higher revenues than industry peer groups.
Oof.
That's big.
So true. It's huge.
Yeah.
If I think about, people will say, oh, coaching is really expensive. What's really expensive is being in an environment that is, quote, toxic, because people love to throw that word around right now. And some environments are toxic, and some are just feel that way because there's that lack of training.
Yeah.
But coach training is so much less expensive than dealing with all of the HR headaches and having a team that isn't producing and isn't meshing well because people are not getting along, or they're not even not getting along. They're just not being collaborative.
Yeah. And not to mention the impact on health. I know so many colleagues that working in a place where they would consider it toxic, they go home with knots in their stomach. Their heart is racing. Every time it's Monday, they wake up just not well physically too. So, I mean, there's so many emotional, physical, mental, and even spiritual components to all of this. So
100%. And that reminds me of the training at the Institute is integrative.
Yeah.
And so it works on all parts of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just wanted to share, we felt inspired to hop on this call because we were talking earlier today about this dynamic that many leaders that are promoted quickly into a new leadership role, you're not alone. A lot of leaders are going through this struggle of feeling thrown into the deep end and wondering how to navigate it. So if you would love to look at the different options available to you, whether it's through our executive coach trainings, our coach trainings, or executive coaching options, we have many. I would love to talk with you and just to see, even if it's not us, I would love to just get you connected to a resource or an approach that works best for you. I'm going to place my calendar in the link below. Feel free to scoop up a spot with me to just chat. I'm also going to put a link to, we have a level 1 coach training coming up October 4th. And we do accept teams. We love working with teams. So if you have 3 or 4 leaders that all want to enter into coach training who may or may not be struggling, but you just like to elevate the culture or the mood of the organization, we'd love to serve you. So I'll plug that in as well.
What an awesome opportunity to work with your team on this.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I wish I had known about that.
Me too.
Years ago. So Jill, any other words of wisdom before we wrap up?
I think, we as a culture, we tend to not take care of ourselves and really understand what self-care is. And really investing in yourself is self-care. And it's so important. So important.
Yeah. Yes. And I think that's one of the benefits that I've seen with coach training versus other trainings is it goes with you at home, in parenting, in relationships, in your legacy work, in your life. It goes a very, very long way.
Definitely. If at the very least, going through the coach training program has just made me a better person all the way around. And I'm happier and joyful and understand my core values and who I am. And that's just a better life, no matter who you are or what you're doing. Yeah,
absolutely. Okay. One more benefit and then we can wrap up. You get to learn how to self-coach, which is invaluable. You can stop and coach yourself in moments of stress. I mean, that alone, if you took nothing else away, is just completely valuable. So
So
thank
true.
you for joining us. I hope this was really helpful. If you are a new leader, there is support, there is training, there are options to get you leveraged really quickly and effectively in ways that are very aligned with who you actually are and who your best self is as a leader. So we hope to see you next time, and please reach out if you have any questions. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.